Glad to have you join us on this edition of the show. Our guest today will be sharing her thoughts on the relevance of academia to the startup ecosystem and why business education is important for startup success. We've got this interview and much more coming up on the show. I am Chukwemeka Agbata. Welcome to Tech Trends.
We need technology in every classroom and in every student and teacher's hand because it is the pen and the paper of our time, and it is the lens through which we experience much of our world.
You right? Okay.
At the Art of Technology Lagos 2021, Lagos State once again brings together industry experts and key stakeholders from the public and private sector to discuss policies and initiatives that will pave way for the evolution of a smarter, digital and efficient Lagos. The third edition is a hybrid conference which focuses on funding and a connected Lagos to spotlight investment readiness, regulations and policy formulations for tech startups in the tech ecosystem.
Ladies and gentlemen, innovation, science and technology in our modern society essentially defines how we live. Some argue that they define how we think, but we will leave that to the philosophers. We can agree that innovation, science and technology are the bedrock of societal integration, socio-economic and even cultural progression. The current Lagos State administration is focused on utilizing these tools alongside good governance practice to better the lives of every single tier of life in Lagos.
Please put your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Governor.
The Lagos State Governor boasts of how his administration is providing an enabling environment for startups to thrive. This is in pursuance of a smart city agenda to make Lagos a 21st century economy and grow in the technology space.
The development to attain the start of a smart city is an opportunity that is impending on all of us to be able to actualize our dreams, with technology being a greatest enabler of that dream. Today, Lagos is a culturally diverse city that hosts the fastest number of growing startups in all sectors. Lagos and four other cities in Africa, that is in Ghana, Accra, Cape Town, Nairobi and Johannesburg, constitute over 90% of the entire $6.6 billion worth of African startups ecosystem. 2 years ago, while Africa received over $1 billion of funding in 2019, Lagos alone received close to $400 million out of that fund. So most of the underlying valuation criteria were based on significant abound Lagos operating and the market environment that we found ourselves. And so this points to our ever-developing enabling environment for each and every one of you to thrive and to do well. The growth of startups points to a more innate growth story in Lagos. Several underpin the building blocks of technology. In the past 6 months alone, over $500 million in technology investment have streamed their way in one form or the other into Lagos. And I have met a lot of them. We know that they're committed to bringing this investment forward. From private sector data center players to government investment in fiber optics and to a lot of other smart infrastructure. This investment underscores Lagos' commitment and our environmental confirmation for technology enablement in our state.
The event, through a segment called Collaborate Lagos, gives selected startups an opportunity to pitch their products for a chance to receive up to $100,000 in equity investment from Eco Innovation Center.
We've had a lot of conversations in the area of regulatory mechanisms around enabling the levels of innovation in Lagos. We've had conversations around building startups. We've also had very important key product talks and collaborative conversations as well from partners. We've also had conversations around enabling funding for startups. We all know that funding is a key requirement, right, for turbocharging small, medium-sized companies, for turbocharging innovative startups, for making industry move. But what are the things that unlock capital? What are those key matrices that we should be looking at within our environment to help attract more funding, to drive innovative companies in our ecosystem? These are the conversations that we are continuing today.
The Art of Technology Lagos is hosted yearly by the Lagos State Government to chart a new vision for the next phase of development to make Lagos Africa's key tech hub. Robot engineers at Cornwall-based Engineering Arts have unveiled a remarkably human-like android called Amika. A short promo video released by the company shows Amika seemingly waking up, looking at its hands and then towards the camera. The 40-second clip has racked up well over 10 million views online since Engineered Arts released it. Amika has grey-colored skin with deliberately gender and racial-neutral characteristics. The company describes it as the world's most advanced human-shaped robot, representing the forefront of human robotics technology.
The reason for making a robot that looks like a person is to interact with people. So human face is a very high bandwidth communication tool, and that's why we've built these expressive robots. Tried to be gender neutral, race neutral. We're just trying to make something that has the basic human characteristics, expression, without putting anything else on top of that. So hence the grey faces.
Engineered Arts designs and manufactures humanoid entertainment robots for science centers, theme parks, and businesses. Jackson believes Amika is the perfect test platform for artificial intelligence.
A lot of people working on AI, interaction, all kinds of new apps that are using vision systems, segmentation, face recognition, speech recognition, voice synthesis. But what you don't see is the hardware to run all that software on. So what we're trying to provide is a platform for AI.
He says that Amika is the culmination of 15 years of work, and one robot costs over $133,000 to buy. A robot in France called Buddy was introduced as the new classmate in a school southwest of Paris during a visit to a school by the wife of President Emmanuel Macron, Brigitte Macron, and Education Minister Jean-Michel Blanquer. Sick children who are at home or in hospital connect to their classes via their home computer or tablet and are represented in class by Buddy. France aims to send out 4,000 Buddy robots to schools around the country by 2022 to help sick children continue their education and have a semblance of a normal life.
Je suis beaucoup à l'hôpital au milieu d'eux et je me rends compte que ce sont des combattants.
Life continues, and obviously, school education, their friends, are a part of their life. So how do we bring life as much as possible to the hospital?
Donc la vie est là, la vie continue. Bien évidemment, l'éducation scolaire, l'école fait partie de leur vie.
The First Lady and Education Minister Blanquer spoke to students who were using Buddy and another robot Beam to attend their classes via distant learning.
Aujourd'hui, on est autour de 4000 classes fermées.
Even a child who faces limitations who is sick at home or in hospital should have access to this modern technology that opens up all the advantages that we all see.
School teachers have been taught how to manipulate the robots via remote control so they can be dynamic in the classroom and allow for the children at home to better visualize the space and their classmates. France has tried to keep schools open despite the rise in COVID cases and the emerging Omicron variant, making face masks compulsory once again in classrooms. Is your Gmail full? Well, here are some handy solutions for you to manage your emails better. Clean your Google Drive and photos. By default, Google gives free 15GB storage to Gmail users, but this storage is shared among various Google services, most importantly Google Drive and the photos. Now, if you're running out of storage for mails, one of the best ways to free up some extra space is by checking how much of it is being used by Google Drive and Google Photos. If there are large files in your photos and Google Drive, delete them if you can. That will free up the space for emails. Find and delete big emails. In most cases, your emails are likely to be small, like 50 kilobytes small. But over the period of time, you also accumulate big emails. The trick to reclaim space in the Gmail is to delete these particular emails. Now, how do you do that? In the email search bar, write larger:20M. With this, you are telling the Gmail to find emails that are larger than 20 megabytes in size. You can pick any size that you want, 5 MB, 1 MB, 10 MB. This will give you all the large emails that you have in your inbox. You can then delete all or some of them to free up significant space in the inbox. Empty updates and promotions. Google Gmail has tabs for quite some time now. Of these tabs, inbox is the primary area where all your important emails come. But then there are also updates where LinkedIn emails enter and promotions where you get emails from your banks. Most of the time, these are useless emails. When you're running low on space, you can safely delete them. Find old emails. If you don't want old emails clogging your mailbox, just search for them. Again, the trick is same. Go to the email search bar and type older_than:1Y or something similar. Once you have the mail sorted, delete the ones that you want. Buy some space. If you're a power user of Gmail, it makes sense to buy extra storage. This is easy and hassle-free, but also a lazy solution to the Gmail problem.
Coming up is my chat with Henrietta Onwebuzie, Director, MBA Programs, Lagos Business School. Stay with us.
Achieving success as a startup not only depends on the business knowledge you have, but also the networks one is connected to. When starting a business, it is important to develop professional and social contacts with mentors and other innovators, but oftentimes the education institutions are left out of the circle. The academia can play a crucial role in the ecosystem, and we speak to Dr. Henrietta Onwebuzie, Director of MBA Programs at the Lagos Business School, on the relevance of academia to the startup ecosystem.
Henrietta, glad to have you on Tech Trends today.
Thank you, Fred, for having me.
All right, let's start by having your thoughts on your take on the tech ecosystem today.
So the tech ecosystem is definitely growing. In fact, the whole world is going tech. And so everybody needs to key in. We don't have a choice anymore. And that's exactly what we're trying to do at the LBS with the MBA program, ensure that we help tech people understand that for you to run a sustainable business, you need to combine tech and business management knowledge. But that's a space that is doing amazing things. We're proud of them. So far, we have about 4 at least, and I think there are 2 more upcoming unicorns in the tech space in Nigeria. Nigeria proudly has the highest number of unicorns in all of Africa. So it's something that we want to be a part of to ensure that they don't just get there, but that they remain there and keep growing.
So again, this is where we sort of have this conversation, right? For a lot of the people in tech, they sort of, in most cases, feel that they don't need the conventional business education. What's your take?
So it's not about business education. The point is, when you're in tech, you're running a business. And like everything else in life, you need to learn how to do that, okay? There's a business side to everything. It's either you get someone else to manage the business for you while you focus on the tech part, but it's an inevitable part of whatever anybody's doing, especially if that's how you also hope to earn a living. Obviously, ultimately, tech is there to, help society operate better.
Maybe there is some stats that you may want to share around how sort of business knowledge and education has helped tech, whether it's Nigeria or international companies do better. Is there anyone you want to share?
Yeah, so the first unicorn in Nigeria is InterSwitch. And InterSwitch, the founder of InterSwitch happens to be one of our MBA alumnus, Michel Elegbe. In fact, we were actually in the same MBA class in 2002. And with every MBA session, Michel was working with Telnet at the time. And he had this idea to bring ATMs to Nigeria. And in those days, it was like, are you crazy? Nigeria is not right for this. In fact, it can't be in Africa. This is something you only see when you travel, okay? Practically nobody believed that Nigeria could safely operate ATMs. Oh, they would hack it open, it would be dangerous. As you leave it, somebody will steal from you and all of that. And he was dogged about it. I literally saw Michel build InterSwitch with every class on the MBA program. But yes, there was a beginning, and you could clearly see that though Michel was a techie, being on the MBA program helped him to become who he is today. And the story of InterSwitch is one of Nigeria's biggest successes. As I said before, InterSwitch is the first unicorn in Nigeria.
But going into the mindset of the younger techies, because it's a reality, right? The younger techies, may not buy what you just said now, but like, how do you want to pass the message across that, business education is important to building a tech startup today?
So incidentally, I've actually just finished training about 150 of them in the last 2 months. Okay, typically LBS trains executives, but then we have the regular MBA program, which is for people who have at least 3 years post-graduation work experience. And I think they get it, okay? And I've done this for quite a while. I've also spoken at some of the tech conferences where I help them understand that, to start with, tech will only be successful when it is applied with a purpose. So you've got to be purpose-driven. Tech for tech makes no sense to anybody. You've got to have an application for your tech. Is it to make payments safer? So for instance, there's a Nigerian tech guy in fintech that's trying to ensure that as the African Continental Free Trade Zone agreement is in operation, we don't need the dollar as a medium of exchange. If I'm in Ghana, I can go from Naira to Cedi. If I'm in Rwanda, I can go from Naira to Rwandan shillings. Now that will do a whole lot for Africa and begin to reduce the dominance and control that the dollar has over the world, including Africa. Okay, that's an amazing thing. We've seen how Paga has made it possible for people without bank accounts to still execute payments. So the first thing is tech. It's important for techpreneurs to have a sense of purpose. Then the next thing to understand is that, hey, there's a business around what you're doing. Okay, if you do tech without the business side of it, then you starve, because you need to understand who your target markets are, how to get to them. The fact that you're beginning to get traction, if people demand your products, means you can't do everything on your own. You need to bring people in. How do you bring them in? How do you manage them? Okay, and then how do you watch for trends? Because it's all good to have something that works, but you also have to understand the business around it. Even if you get people who understand that for you, if you are totally blank on that, then you are more vulnerable to being left in the cold should there be an argument, okay, or whatever, but you should have an idea of what it takes so you're balanced.
A number of reports have said that, female-run businesses, whether in the tech ecosystem or generally, receive less funding. Have you come across that report, and what's your take on that?
So it has to do with confidence, okay? Men and women are fundamentally different. The program I just ran this week was by a company, and was funded by Construction Kaiser, and that's what they told me how they didn't qualify, but they came all the same. A woman will never do that, okay? Somebody else didn't apply because he was 1 year above the age limit. And so he told his wife to apply. The wife applied and was selected. Most men project more confidence. And in business, people buy first into your confidence before they buy into your idea. But I think that is changing with the number of, look at what Funke Okweke is doing with Mainmore. Yeah, Obama Johnson was our, tech minister. So I think that stereotypes are gradually breaking, okay? And we've got to move with the reality. It will take time, but it's already happening. When you have both men and women thinking about something, you get a more comprehensive and holistic view, and you arrive at better solutions. So when you have if you have only men or only women thinking about it, then there's going to be a gap in the quality of the decisions that are taken. Okay, so eventually, I guess that, in fact, look at the banking industry. There are now more female MDs, and there are more and more female board chairs. It's not because they're in support of women. They have actually seen that, women are more detailed and probably make better leaders than men. Okay, but doesn't mean we don't need the men. We need both.
Finally, Henrietta, the situation around young people who may say Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of school, Bill Gates dropped out of school, even though Mark went back to complete his education. What would you have to say to that mindset? Let's end on that.
So the fact, anybody who is following Bill Gates will know that he's a big reader, okay? What do you do in school? You get educated, okay? So school is not the only way to get educated, but education is it's not inevitable, but it's compulsory, okay? You can't go anywhere without education. And I'm actually one of those who believe that, you can get education in different places, not only in school, but you must educate yourself. That's fundamental. And even those who don't go to school need those who go to school to help them grow, okay? Look, that's a good example. It's one of the wealthiest men in Nigeria. He didn't go to school, not because he chose not to, out of poverty, but he gets advice and works. Those who went to school work for him, okay? But he also went back to school because he realized that he had to be literate. He had to understand to a large extent what was going on in his business. But he was humble enough to ask those who go to school to come in and help him. So I would say to people, what is important is relevant education, okay? And I think that it's beginning to happen. Here we at LBS also focus on giving you relevant education. And I think the African Leadership University also does a good job of that, in the sense that for admission, you have to say what problem you want to solve, and then that's the admission, that's the basis for admitting you, to help you be able to get the knowledge required to solve that problem. At LBS, we teach you the same as well. So the world is gradually moving to relevant education. And I think that the only thing is, I think that the speed can be faster.
And thank you for being on the show today. All the best.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. Cheers.
As you've heard from the Lagos Business School Director of MBA Programs, Dr. Henrietta Onwebuzie, achieving startup success also depends on how equipped you are with the right kind of business knowledge. But in my opinion, the academia definitely has to tweak their mode of teaching if we have to see more synergy between the academia and the ecosystem. We've come to the end of the show, but it doesn't end here. The conversation continues online. Check out the show on Channels TV, YouTube, or cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.